Thank you, Dick. So, the song Upside Down. Who's to say what's impossible? I'll share this love with everyone. What awesome words, aren't they? So this month we've been doing a series on Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus is trying to present things in a different way. So I thought this was appropriate for what we're going to talk about today. So we've been doing a series on the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus is trying to tell the people that God is creator and they're co-creators. But we've talked about how Cindy talked in the past few weeks about how can you just say that because they can't understand that, and can we really understand it today? So Jesus wrapped statements of truth in the conditions of their lives so that they could understand. We went over the blessed are. The blessed means worthy. So he's telling them that you are worthy, you are good. He's giving them affirmations. Blessed are the meek, so they shall inherit the earth. And Cindy talked about how meek means hard worker and good worker. And if there was a rich man that didn't have any heirs, then that good worker would inherit that wealth. So he was giving them affirmations of things that they could see and wrapping them in higher law. And this was very different than their Jewish laws, which were all about sacrifice and how to be accepted by God. And then he went into the woe-tos. Woe-tos, we know, means wake up to. Woe to those who are being cruel and relentless, for they'll be the victim of their own deeds. Woe to you, but what you put out comes back to you. We all know that, right? So he's trying to take these concepts and show them what they can understand. Okay? And he's encouraging them to be the light. He says, be the light. Don't hide your light under a basket. You're important. We need your light in this world. So Jesus is starting off very positive. You're good. You're good where you are. Keep doing what you're doing. Watch out. Don't do this or this is going to happen. And you're good. You're light. I need your light because you're children of God. And then Patrick last week talked about the Lord's Prayer. And the Lord's Prayer is Jesus' prayer of how he walks in daily life that he shared with his disciples. And Patrick talked about them being steps to live our life. Have you ever thought about the Lord's Prayer as being steps to reach Christ consciousness? If you were raised Catholic, it was a punishment. Because if when you went to confession, if you did something, then you had to go say like 4 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys. So when you were growing up, it was looked at from child eyes as a punishment that I have to say that Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And although it could have been used if we had the right energy to lift us from our situation and walk in that love and light of the Christ. So Cindy also talked about how that we may be attached to the 10 Commandments, and that even though we feel we're metaphysical, maybe there's still something in us that needs to be unhooked. And so even saying the Lord's Prayer, do we look at that as I'm doing it because I'm being in the oneness of God, or is it something that we have to do? So we need to take that judgment off about this was a punishment versus, wow, this is how I walk into the light. Being supplied daily by God's love. Anything I need comes to me daily. I walk in non-resistance and I forgive. And isn't that wonderful? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. So he's telling him this. So now we're moving through the Sermon on the Mount, and he starts to reteach the 10 Commandments. He says, okay, you guys know the 10 Commandments, and you think you're doing good. But let me tell you about the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law has to do with your desires. So he says, thou shalt not kill, if thou shalt not kill. So they think if they haven't killed, then they won't be punished. But Jesus says, the spirit of the law is he who shall desire to kill, seek revenge, is angry with a man without sufficient cause, must answer to the judge. And he who calls his brother a soulless vagabond shall answer to the council of the just. And he who calls his brother a degenerate dog fans into life the fires of hell within himself. So he's saying it's not just your actions, it's your thoughts and your desires. And those thoughts are creating those fires of torment within your own self. So again, what you put out comes back to you, not only in deed but in thought. So they probably went, that's a little different. I thought I was doing good. So how are we doing with our thoughts and criticizing our brother or something in our world? And we as metaphysicians know this, but do we still do it? And then it comes back and starts manifesting within ourselves. So just a reminder for all of us that already know that. So this is new to them. So they probably went, oh, darn it. Then he's getting ready. Okay, so he said, we got affirmations. You guys are good. Watch out for this. You guys are the light. Yes, you know the 10 Commandments, but let's look at it this way. But you can do it because you're the light. Now he's getting ready for opposite day. So if anybody has kids, they know what opposite day is. Christopher, it's time to go to bed. No, it's opposite day. That means I get to stay up. It's time to do your homework. No, it's opposite day. That means I don't have to do it. Did you guys have opposite day? Yes. I can't do that. No, it's opposite day. That means I can do that. So he's getting ready for opposite day. So he's going to start turning the world a little upside down. And so, just let me get in here. All right, so he says, the law of carnal man would say, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Resist encroachments on your rights. Stand up and protect, do back to what others do to you. But this is not the law of God. Holy breath would say, resist not him who would deprive you of your goods. He who would take your coat by force is still a brother man, and you should gain his heart, which by resistance cannot be done. Give your coat and offer him still more and more, and in time the man will rise above the brute. You will have saved him from himself. So we know in that day and time they wore all their clothes when they traveled, because they were wanderers. And so they would have their coats and everything they owned. So if someone came and asked them for a coat, they might have another one underneath. But Jesus says, give it to them. Do not resist, just give it to them. Now, he's not really teaching them a higher law, but we know that if you own your coat, then you will own that in consciousness and you will get another one. That when you walk in the light and whatever you have, you can give freely because it always comes back to you. They might not have heard that. Okay, so, and then you're helping that person that can't reason because he's trying to take something. He doesn't know God is source, like I expect the children of light to know God is source. And so when you give something to him, he might, without struggle, he can be lifted also, without fighting. All right, refuse not him who calls for help, and give him who asks to borrow aught. So help those who are on your path. So if someone comes and asks to borrow something, go ahead and give. Be in the flow and give. Do not resist. Do not resist. Is this opposite of what their laws say? And if a man shall strike you in a fitful or angry way, it is not well to smite him in return. I know it. Men call him coward who will not fight and thus defend his rights, but it is much the greater man who is assailed, is smitten, does not smite, who is maligned and answers not, than he who smites the smiter and reviles. So you are much greater when you stand in your truth and not fight back. You may look like a coward, but you're really strong. And that's not what we're taught, is it? That's not what they were taught. Even, today, when my son was little, he's 25 now, so when he was in about 3rd grade, he came home from the bus and he had something around his face. He was bruise or cut or something. And I said, honey, what happened? He said, so-and-so tied his shoestrings together on the bus, so when he got up, he fell down. And I said, well, did you punch him? Now, Chris was raised in this church. I've been in metaphysics probably for 10 years or so when I'm saying this. And he said, no, Mommy, that wouldn't be nice. Well, I'm going to call his mother. No, Mommy, don't call his mother. So what do I do with this? Have we all been there? When somebody hurts your child, that mama bear dragon comes out? Okay. And then maybe a year later, somebody punched him or something, and he was probably in 5th grade. And he came home, messed up. What happened? Oh, so-and-so punched him. I said, well, did you punch him back? He said, he just would not fight. He said, no, I was bigger than him, and I would have really hurt him if I hit him. That's not how I was raised. And he didn't do it out of fear of getting hurt. He did it out of love, and he knew who he was. Now, you might not know this about me, but I used to fight a lot when I was growing up. I grew up in a neighborhood that was a little rough, and a lot of activities on the streets, and I would get picked on in school. I had ponytails, when you're little, and people would pull your ponytail, so I would, hit them and get in trouble. I didn't never started anything, and I would get picked on walking home. They would, a group of people, girls and boys, and my mom would say, "Don't do anything. Don't you do anything." Okay, we call the principal. We'll come together. No, we didn't do anything to her. Okay, so I get frustrated. Mom would say, don't do anything. So this kept going on. And so I started to fight back. And I kind of got in trouble for fighting in grammar school, junior high, and high school. But none was my fault. Just defending my rights. But she didn't tell me, don't fight, stand up and be the light. She said, don't fight, because she was afraid something was going to happen. Do you see? Yeah. So there's hope for all of us. So you can see how even being in metaphysics, and then something happens that spurs those emotions, we revert back to what we've always done, even though we know it's not right, or not in the highest good of all concerned. Okay? Have we all been there? Yes. Okay. So what do you think these people are saying? Okay. All right, so, and didn't Jesus demonstrate this as he walked to the crucifixion? He said nothing. He stood in his truth, and he demonstrated his power versus trying to convince people, because people can't hear it. And so he demonstrated his power by being who he was, being able to resurrect his body and ascend. And how much more powerful is that than trying to fight back? So Jesus is telling these things that seem opposite of what they've been doing, but it's the path of the Christ. They're little baby steps they can take to start walking as a light. Old law says, love friends and hate your foe. But I say, bless those who slander you, do good to those who do good to you, and do good to, I must have written that wrong. You know what I'm saying. Do good. It says, love your friends, hate your foes, do good to those who do good to you. But he says, do good to those who harm and pray for those who trample on your rights. I have to look at things differently, don't I? Okay. So if we look at somebody as a foe, we're creating separation. And so this was all about walking in oneness with your brother. As I walk and I resist not my brother, then we will be in oneness. We're one. You know, we do the law of one. What is harmed, all is harmed. Don't fight back. Are we all just going, oh, but it really feels so good just to... Okay. So these are things that he's telling them to do. This really is the opposite of what they've been told their laws to do. Then he says, remember that you're children of God. So he's giving them something. Now he's giving them some encouragement. Remember you are the children of God who make the sun to rise upon the evil and the good, who sends his rain upon the unjust and the just. So he's telling them how powerful they are. Now you're powerful, you can do this. This may sound crazy, but you can do it. So again, he's connecting them back with being children of God. If you do unto other men as they do unto you, you are but slaves and followers in the way of death. So, don't do what's been done to us. But you, as children of the light, must lead the way. So he's saying, okay, change and lift up. Be the light. Let's stop the wheel of continuing hurting each other. Be perfect as your Father, God in heaven, is perfect. Meaning be inclusive, be in the flow, be in the oneness. So that was a lot for them to take in, don't you think? Then he continues on behind the energy of the other commandments. So he's still making what is familiar, but let's look at it a different way, and I'm not going to go through all the commandments. I would invite you to read the chapters on Sermon on the Mount. And so he would say, it has been said in the olden times, this is what your law says, but lo, I say, let's look at it this way. Okay. So don't you think they're all listening to him now? Okay. Then he gives them a picture. He gives them a picture of the lilies in the field. God cares for those who trust in him and serve the race. Behold the birds, they praise God in their song. The earth is made more glorious by their ministry of joy. God keeps them in the hollow of his hand. What a beautiful picture, isn't it? And not a sparrow falls to the earth without his care, and every one that falls shall rise again. Behold the flowers of the earth. They trust in God and grow. They make the earth resplendent with their beauty and perfume. Look at the lilies of the field, the messengers of holy love. No son of man, not even Solomon in all his excellence, was ever clothed like one of these. And yet they simply trust in God. They feed from out his hand. They lay his head to rest upon his breast. If God so clothes and feeds the flowers and the birds that do his will, he will not will he not feed and clothe his children when they trust in him? So he's giving them a picture. Can you guys see this? Look at the birds. So every time they're out and they see the birds, the flowers, they could be reminded that God's taking care of them and God can take care of them because they are so important because they're the children of God. Seek first the kingdom of the soul, the righteousness of God, the good of men, and murmur not. God will protect and feed and clothe. So again, he's bringing him back to go within. Go within. So he's giving them a picture to cling to. After he's turned their world kind of upside down, now look at this. So I came across a brain experiment using upside down glasses. So the brain will adjust so that we can function, even if we're looking upside down. So there's an Austrian professor, Vito Erisman, from the University of Innsbruck, devised an experiment. And he made an assistant wear a pair of handmade glasses that had mirrors that would reflect and flip the light that goes into the eyes, where the top would become bottom and the bottom would become top. So at first he put it on and stumbled. Can you imagine trying to pour something? It goes up and stumbled. So he stumbled at first. He couldn't grasp objects. But then seeing smoke off of a match or something he could start to focus on and knowing what direction was up and down. And not long after, the brain adjusted to make the right movements to function normally. He still wasn't seeing right side up, but he was functioning in a world that was upside down. After 10 days, he could function as normal. He could even walk down the sidewalk, or he also rode a bike in the street. The brain made the body move in a world that was totally different than he was used to. I thought that was pretty cool. Our brain can help us function in something that looks like what we're not used to. We can function in the law of spirit, which is opposite of man's law. He goes on to say, to reiterate to them, wise men of the world does unto other men as he would have them do unto them. He's kind of saying the same thing a little bit to remember. Now I'm considering you wise men. He is talking to them like they are getting it. They are the children of God, and they're going to go out and do this. And then we all know they ask, seek, knock, and you will find. He's giving them, saying, okay, then you can do this. And then he tells them, those that hear, go ahead and build your house on this rock of foundation that I've given you. I've replaced your laws with these higher laws, and this is the rock that you build your house on and move forth in the light. So that was pretty heavy for them, don't you think? But what a great, you can do this, I have faith in you, you're a child of God, kept bringing them back to the message. So we know that our brain can function in a world that's upside down, but how about our emotions? When we do something new and we know that we can do it, but sometimes our emotions and our mental body just doesn't, we're having trouble. Like when they first put them on, it's kind of like you're out of whack. So what helps us get our emotions on track with doing something new? Of course, we all say meditation, right? Of course. So what can we do that helps shift this? Spirit showed me this picture of this perfect world, or like, we had snow globes when we were little, and it was in that was something that we really liked, wasn't it? there was a scene or a fairy or whatever it was that you liked, but it was in this glass that you couldn't access. But didn't we shake it? Weren't we creating part of the scene that we liked? And then didn't a lot of them have music that we turned? And then we created music. And we were creating that whole picture of, wow. And didn't you just kind of go into that? We would just, it's almost meditative. Everyone remember their snow globes? Spirit was showing me that we need to take that ideal of this perfect world of us walking in spirit and bring it into us. Instead of always keeping it out there as something that will happen eventually, that it needs to happen within us. Does that sound fun? Does everyone see their snow globe? What picture would you put in there? Think about what picture you would put to see the world where everyone walks as the Christ, where everyone walks in love, where everyone's needs are met, where everyone's in the flow of spirit, where everything's provided, and everyone is working in oneness to create even a greater world that we might not even imagine right now. So what do you say? Yes. Yes. We go within and see what that will look like. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's just put your feet on the floor. Once again, just take a deep breath and feel a calm of light coming over you. Just where you sit. And feel your heart open to a new possibility. And just think about the snow globe. What would be in your perfect world? And just feel that ball of light. And see that the glass is now being removed. And if there were a song in your snow globe, what song would inspire you to remember you're the light and to live the light? And just see how that song activates your picture. And now see the light in the globe just expanding where there is no glass any longer. And you are in this picture. Walking, being. How are you being the light? In the picture that you pictured. And notice if other snow globes are around. There's other pictures that are like yours. That you are not alone. And just hear the melody of beautiful songs. Of what a world would be if that were so. And now just breathe that into your being. And how to get there, you may have to ride your bike upside down. But you know, as children of God, it's the first step on the path of creating a world of spirit and being a change. And just feel your gratitude. Love in your picture. Becoming your picture. And we are so grateful, God. that we have tools to walk as the Christ, that we can take Jesus' words and apply them today as we walk, creating heaven on earth. And just take a nice deep breath. And when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. Did everyone get a picture? Did everyone get a song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's something that we can do. When you are out in the world and you come up against a brother who may be trying to impede your rights or argue or something that doesn't make you happy, instead of going, la 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 la, you don't want to hear what you're saying, just start humming your little song. Doesn't music shift our energy right there? Does anybody want to share what their song is? I can see clearly.
Upside
Maybe upside down.
My sweet Lord, the Beatles.
All right. So think of if you started singing this. It took 10 days for that person who saw things upside down to ride a bike through this world, to function in this world. So we're evolved, so let's take 7 days. And let's take 7 days and every day sing that song, hum that song, and keep that picture in your mind because that's where we're walking. This is what we're walking in. So we are the creators to walk in that world. So if something happens, just bring up your song, and you don't even have to sing it out loud. You can hum. Would that be fun? Is that fun homework? Okay. Yay God, so it is.